In this video, we're going to talk about Aterian Inc., trading under the symbol ATER. Before today's video begins, if you like my content and would like to see more of them, please consider to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. ATER is a company making home and kitchen appliances and also electronics. There are several reasons why the stock is an interesting one for investors, including the right price action, a potential short squeeze going on, and also what happened to a company called Sprt. If you've ever heard the expression Spartans, there you go. I will explain all that in today's video. Aterian is a company that enjoyed some very significant growth in its stock price from the period of late 2020 to early 2021, before the sell-off started and the short sellers piled in. At one point, it was one of the most shorted stocks on the Nasdaq exchange and triggered the interest of many retail investors like you or me to buy up the float and to force the short sellers to recover. What do I mean by that? Well, essentially, the way that short selling works is that they need to borrow shares from brokers, sell them in the market, and later recover those shares from the market to give back to brokers. Of course, the brokers are not blind to the fact that they are vulnerable to take the loss if the stock goes in a direction wanted by the short sellers. And there is always a cost to borrow those shares because the brokers may not want to do this, even though by law they have to, which arguably would increase the borrowing cost depending on the market situation. Essentially, the less the amount of shares outstanding in the market, the harder it is for brokers to get those shares, and therefore the more expensive it is for short sellers to keep them. When they have to recover their position, it acts as a buy action, which mechanically pushes the stock to even higher place, even if this is not their intention. And that, in a nutshell, is the short version of what retail traders are trying to achieve. They want to squeeze out the short sellers and trigger a price surge by pushing them out of the Aterian float. It's also interesting to note that approximately a third of total float is in the hands of insiders, meaning the number of shares to play with is limited to begin with, and that the insiders do hold the interests of the company as their own. Both of those points are what you want to see with a potential short squeeze success target like Aterian. Another thing is that the stock is currently located in a relatively pulled back price level compared to its former highs just a few days prior. If we look at the chart formation, the stock is not only still in a bullish trend, but it's located near the value area, meaning it's at a price that, assuming the bullish trend continues, that is relatively cheap for shareholders to get a hold of it. The third element is something that I think not that many people have thought about, but is actually quite logical and can be considered as a strong argument for Aterian. For many of you watching this video, you may also know a company called Sprt.com or SPRT. The shareholders of SPRT are generally speaking called Spartans. SPRT was a target for short squeeze, and at some point people succeeded big time, pushing the stock to a higher level before everything came crashing down. It happened because the company suddenly, out of the blue, announced that it's going to merge with another company operating in a completely different sector. So Sprt.com offers like IT support, stuff like those. And that other company operates in crypto mining. The merged company changed its symbol to GREE and reshuffled the cards regarding the float and the exercise price of options, which completely screwed the pricing and the dynamic, and also gave an opportunity to short sellers to use this opportunity to demoralize the retail traders. There are now suspicions that Sprt and GREE worked together with institutional short sellers to concoct this merger, especially given that it happened in such a short period of time. There are class action lawsuits that people are considering of preparing and to go against Sprt. So we have to wait and see how everything will play out on that side. But that's not really my point. My point is, if short sellers have pulled up the trick out of their hat with Sprt, I highly doubt that they can do the same thing with Ater, because you can't fool people twice, really. And if it happens again, the consequences are going to be much more rapid to happen. Now, don't get me wrong, it may still fall for other reasons, like retail traders getting spooked and want to dump their shares for whatever reason, short sellers trying to crush the bulls, or even to have Robinhood to limit how many shares can be bought at one time, which already happened with GME, so I'm not surprised if it happens again. So these are the three reasons I believe that in the upcoming few weeks, we have a good probability to see them happening, and that Aterian has a fair chance of going higher. The devil is in the details sometimes, and in this case, the devil is the detail. Because more than ever, it's crucial for you to control your risk and exposure. I think that for a stock like Aterian that has already gone through 2 rounds of price surges, there are additional risks to consider when buying the stock. This is why I would personally recommend to control the risk below 0.5% of your portfolio. Sometimes I feel like the last part of my video is the least care about because, nobody really cares about risk control and most people already clicked away. But for short squeeze plays, please be careful with the risk that you're taking because it is larger than the risk of buying blue chips or even normal Nasdaq. So overall, yes, I think that now is a decent entry point, but be prepared that it may go lower than now, as a possible scenario. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel.